In today's tutorial, we are making a super cute cake which will feature lots of meringue monsters. Okay, so first we are going to be making our meringues, and you want to preheat your ovens to 175 degrees. I'm going to start out with 4 egg whites. I'll put those in the bowl. You want to make sure that your bowl and your whisk attachment are completely free of any sort of grease, because that will interfere with your meringues being able to whip up properly. Okay, so let's add our salt, and now we're going to mix it on medium speed until soft peaks form, so it will become nice and foamy. You can see the mixture is really foamy now. We want to turn it off when it reaches the soft peak stage. Okay, so I'm just going to check it now. Okay, and this is soft peak stage. It holds its shape a little bit when you pull the whisk out, but the little peak kind of flops over. Not sure how well you can see that. Okay, so next we are going to gradually add our superfine sugar. So I'm going to turn it back on. And we'll slowly add the superfine sugar. I'm going to go ahead and add our vanilla now too. Clear vanilla. And then I'm also going to add our powdered sugar. Let me turn it down a little bit. I'm going to add our powdered sugar now. In the past, I've folded in the powdered sugar a little bit later on in the process, or actually once the stiff peaks had formed. But we're going to try it this way now. Let me turn it back up. And we're just going to mix it until we reach the stiff peak stage. Okay, so we've been mixing for a few minutes at least, just checking it every so often. I think we're about at the stage where it's holding its shape nicely and it's giving us stiff peaks. You can see how that peak held its shape when I removed the whisk. So now it's time to divide the meringue up into different bowls. Each color will get a little bowl, separate bowl, and we'll meet back once we've tinted the meringue. And I'm just trying to gently fold in color without deflating it too much. But so far we have pink, pink over here, deep pink, sky blue, and electric green. I might maybe add another shade, but I think that these colors will look nice together. So in just a second, I'm going to load up my piping bags and we'll meet right back. Okay, so now I'm just experimenting with different shapes, and I have a 1M tip in my pink piping bag for right now. So I'm going to do a few little rosettes. And also some little groupings of stars. And the good thing about monsters is that anything goes, so you can really just have fun experimenting with different shapes and patterns. You can also just skip the piping tip altogether and just snip the tip off of your piping bag, and I'll kind of make a few blobs and dots. And then if you want some to be a little spikier, you can pipe your little blob and then go back in and just barely touch it with your piping bag, and it gives it these fun little curls. Okay, so I've been continuing to fill up my sheet cake pan with just lots of different shapes and colors. Some of my piping is multicolored, and so for that I just put the color, spread the color on the inside of the piping bag, just kind of put everything together. And I also have some lollipop sticks here. You don't need these unless you want to have some monsters kind of elevated. So I'm going to try that and see what we think. I'm just going to do a couple. And you can also add the cookie stick or lollipop stick later. You can just glue the stick onto the back of your meringue later. There's a nice big one. And maybe I'll do another one here. This one has pink and green. And that will just give some height to our monster topper. Okay. I really like working with the meringues. I think it's a lot of fun. So I'm just going to continue piping on my different shapes. If you want to add sprinkles now, you can. I think I'm going to wait though and add any sprinkles later once they're finished baking. Okay. And of course you can go back in, as you can see I did with these orange ones. You can just touch a different color onto the surface to give it just a multicolored look. You know, just barely touching, you'll give little spikes or little hair, fur, whatever. But yeah, as I said, really anything goes with this. Okay, so our pan of meringues is finished. They baked for 2 hours at 175 degrees Fahrenheit. And then we let them cool with the oven off, still in the oven, but with the oven off for another hour. So now here they are. They look still nice and bright, same color as before. And you might have some that stick slightly. You can just kind of jiggle them off or twist them off, and they'll easily come up off of the parchment. So I wanted to show you the ones that we put sticks on. This is what they look like. And so that worked really well. So if you want to do more of these, I think that would be a really fun touch. The other thing I wanted to mention is that I'm going to be adding our eyes now. I'm going to be adding them with a little bit of chocolate probably. But we realized later that you could, if you have the Google Eye sprinkles, like the ones that we're going to be using today, those hold up well in heat. They hold up well in the oven. So if you would prefer to add the eyes before baking, that will work for you too. Okay, so here's our 8-inch tier that I've frosted with our classic vanilla buttercream. And any vanilla buttercream will be fine for this. But I've tinted it with our Americolor electric green. So we have a nice green color, and crumb coated and frosted the cake as usual. And now I'm just going right back in with my spatula, and I'm just going to touch down on the frosting, which by the way hasn't crusted over yet, and just pull away. And that gives us kind of a spiky, kind of furry look to the cake, which is fun for this theme that we have going on today. You could also, if you want to, just use a piping tip and pipe your fur on with a grass tip or a star tip. But this is so much easier and so much faster, and I think it's also just a really fun look and a fun texture. So just going to do this all over the cake, and depending on how much pressure you use, it affects, you know, how long the little spikes are. But I'm just going to take this all the way around, and we'll meet back once we're finished. Okay, I just wanted to give you a closer look at the texture that we're creating, and we're almost finished with the design. We've almost made it all the way around at this point. Okay, so now I'm just adding my eyes. I have 2 sets of pre-made Google eyes. Some are small and some are large. And I'm just using a little melted candy melt. So you can also tint your white candy coating with oil-based coloring if you'd rather have colored sort of glue, just in case it kind of peeks out from behind the eyes. So like for here, for instance, I can just kind of wedge that eye right into the meringue. And then for the other ones, like for here, you can just put just 2 big eyes. And so this part is just kind of fun as you bring your little meringue monsters to life. So I'm just gonna play around with adding their little eyes, and I think we're gonna probably not do mouths. I think the eyes will be kind of fun, just like that. And we'll meet back once we're a little bit further along. Okay, so now I've finished adding little eyes to all of our meringues. I think they look so cute and fun. And now I'm just going to start adding them to the top of our cake. So I'm just gonna scoot this over a little bit. And you can see I did end up making just the top edge of the cake that sort of textured buttercream look also, because I think I'm gonna skip a border. But now it's just a matter of just placing the meringues all over. I think it'd be really cute to have the monsters just all over the cake. Another thing you might want to do is just have a piping bag of your green buttercream. I need to get one, so that when you have some of these type of monsters that you want to sit upright, you can just pipe, well, that's holding its shape, but you could also pipe just a little star of buttercream behind it to give it a little bit of extra support. So I'm just going to continue adding lots of monsters. If you need some of these to stand up a little taller, just squirt a little buttercream beneath or put some candy beneath them. And we have our little monsters on sticks. I'll probably add these also maybe in back. And we have so many that we can probably add some to the cake base or cake pedestal a little bit later. Okay, so you can see I've really filled up my cake with all of these cute monsters. I decided, because I had so many extra and I also wanted to add something fun around the base, I decided to just add more monsters around the cake base, and I think that's a really fun look too. But there's so many different options. There's so many different ways to go. You could even press some of the flat monsters directly on to the sides of the cake, but I really like this look. And also, I had originally thought I would want sprinkles or candy corn around the monsters. In the end, I decided just to texture the buttercream and leave that off, because when we tried it that way, it was a little bit too much going on for what I wanted to do. So I think it just looks really cute just as it is, but feel free to experiment and find the look that you love the most. Okay, so our cake is finished. I think this is such a fun Halloween themed cake, or even a monster themed cake, no matter what time of year. This would be a lot of fun. As you saw, it's not a difficult cake to make. The meringues are a little bit time consuming, but only because it takes a couple of hours in the oven to make them. But had a lot of fun with this one. I hope you'll try it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.